how are you? Now that was loud.
Yeah, I mean, and your opening is sort of loud.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. How are you? So we're going to listen to the last, hopefully, few minutes of the Jussie Smollett case. Here are some things that we've been watching. It's been going on for like, oh my God, about 2 hours now, Perry?
No, longer than that. It's been a minute. All
3
day, I
hours?
think. Yeah.
And right now, I'm thinking they're going to let him off. And I'm thinking they're going to let him off because of a couple things. One, he already paid a fine. Two, he already did community service. Three, he has no prior, what do you call it? Priors. So
prior record.
Yeah, no, he hasn't done anything else wrong. So I'm thinking they're going to let him off. But you know what? All of the analysts are saying it depends on what he says to the judge. So that's going to make or break him. We're almost there. Perry, what are you thinking? Oh, people are saying they think he's guilty, that he's going to get some time.
I mean, for me, I don't think if he get anything, it's probably going to be probation or something like that. I don't see them really giving him time because even if they did, that they can still appeal it. And it is sort of like double jeopardy a little bit with his lawyer was saying at first. If they forfeit his bond money of $10,000, he did community service, but then you come back and get tried again based off the same thing that you did time for already, you know, like the penalty.
Let me see. That's what I think. That's what I think. What are your thoughts, Diva, before we start listening to him?
I'm hoping they go easy on him, and I'm hoping he learned a lesson. But you saying he has to speak?
No, he don't have to.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, if he speaks, he better say the right words.
Right.
And most likely he should speak. I would speak. Wouldn't you speak to the judge?
Well, yeah, I mean, but if you say the wrong things, then it go the opposite way. If you go up there and start saying how innocent he is,
yeah,
it's just not a good look at that point. I mean, at this point, that's been done. You're talking about a class 4 felony, like what is class 4 felony or something?
Yeah.
And really, I'm thinking that he's gonna pretty much get off, which he paid the price with his career and everything else and public embarrassment at the end of the day.
Now, we've already heard character statements of people coming out and saying, no one in the character statement said he didn't do it. They said he's already paying the price. And then what a good guy he did, all the foundations he has donated to. What do you think of V before we start listening?
I mean,
hold on,
They
V.
said put your banner up, Sharrell.
I can't put it up.
Okay, I got you. Okay, no, you're fine then. You're fine.
Okay, here we go. Let's see what's going on. Hold on. Can you guys hear this in the audience? Let me know.
You can always cancel. Seriously.
The claim may please the court. Judge, the defense is really asking that
he's talking too soft.
The starting point
it's him. Yeah.
Oh, it's him? Okay.
Ordinary media publicity surrounding this
Can't even
case,
hear that.
the intense negative backlash,
He ain't even talking in a mic.
Mr. Smollett, the significant negative
Does
impact
he have
that
a
it
mic
had
on?
on his career.
Because the other guy was loud and
his
clear.
livelihood, his family, he's been in court all the time.
I don't think this guy even got a mic on.
And perhaps more importantly, his reputation. All those things taken together in of themselves are not just extraordinary, are not just unique, but indeed eternal enough
Real that second mic button. Just
more
push
than
it up a little bit.
for a low-level class 4 felony in this state,
Do you want to come in and look at it
and I
here?
dare say in any state in the union.
He got a little louder. I mean, because he is not speaking clearly into the mic though.
A judge, I am trying to treat this case more like other cases, not differently than other cases, but more like other cases. That was you, August 26, 2021. You made that statement to us while we're discussing jury selection and procedures. And so I begin by asking you to treat this case like any other low-level class 4 felony. Somehow this case has turned into a sheep in wolf's clothing, and Mr. dressed up as a felon, essentially. And how do I know this? Mr. Webb spent the entirety of his argument talking about the time wasted by the Chicago police force, time wasted by the city of Chicago. He also spent time talking about the impact this could have on the LGBTQ community. There are problems with that, of course, Judge.
People are asking me whose attorney is this? This is Jussie's attorney.
Disorderly conduct statute, the entire team did, and I was searching to see if there was any aggravation or enhancement ladder that our legislature in Springfield put in place for class 4 disorderly conduct. Did they meet during the discussion of the bill that they passed to say anytime anyone wastes more than $30,000 of resources, it becomes a class 2. Anytime anyone wastes more than $500,000 of resources, it becomes a class 1 or maybe a class X. No, it's not there. I searched for it. But what we do have is an enhancement ladder that does exist in the disorderly conduct statute, and it's right here. If you call falsely 911 or the police to claim that there's a bomb threat, any terrorism-related issue, you get a class 3, and that's the only enhancement ladder. And I trust that our legislature has a common sense of think about time wasting and money, but it's already infused in the class 4. That's the whole point of a class 4 disorderly conduct. Mr. Smollett is not being accused of screaming fire, fire, or bomb, 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 which will cause a public safety concern. That's why the legislature put that in there. Because they were thinking of a situation where someone comes into a movie theater, bomb, and there's a stampede and people could possibly die. So there's a public safety concern infused in that enhancement ladder. They did not think about money or time wasted because it's already in the statute, it's already accommodated for in the class 4 statute. And we know they think of these things when you look at the statute, the Underby statute. If you rob someone with a gun on top of the class X enhancement, what happens? You get 20 years added to your sentence. You rob someone with a gun and you discharge that gun causing great bodily harm, what happens to you? 25 to life, enhancement on top of the class X. Even down to your basic speeding laws. You're driving 26 miles per hour over, now class B misdemeanor. You're going 35 miles per hour, it's now a class A misdemeanor. The legislature thinks about this thing. Mr. Webb and OSP want you to legislate.
Now, Perry, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is this Jussie's attorney?
Yeah, it is.
$30,000 they talk about, well, there are problems with it. We can't take it as face value. Judge, you have the victim impact statement in front of you. If you look at the first 2 pages, there are no dates on that. If you look at the second 2 pages, highlighted are entries with dates, and only 4 of those entries are before February 15, 2019. Why is that important? It's important because on February 15, 2019, the Oshundaya brothers, according to testimony, confessed allegedly to the incidents. And that was the day detectives let them go and began the investigation on Mr. Smollett. So why do we now have charges, most of which are after 2/15? Judge, the second point I'll make is we're asking you to adopt the previous sanctions. Mr. Webb tries to dress it up like a forfeiture, call it what you want. Mr. Smollett was fined $10,000. Black Law's Dictionary, that's a fine. You can't punish a person twice. And I know you denied the motion, that's fine, but that's not why I'm bringing it up. Because there's an 8th Amendment issue here, cruel and unusual punishment. Punishment that is too severe for the offense. And how do we know this is too severe? Assume, oh, the jury found him guilty. Okay. But Smollett won. To 2019, they made him pay what? $10,000 fine, which has never been returned to him. The sovereign of the state of Illinois, through their agent, the Cook County State Attorney's Office, said, Mr. Smollett, we're taking your $10,000 bond, we're giving it to the city of Chicago. Bye-bye, he's never seen it. That is a fine. Then they made him do community service, which he cannot undo unless we had a time machine. So those two things are punishments that has been meted out to him. Sanctionable steps. And now Mr. Webb has come here to ask you, on top of those two things, which he cannot undo, nor can anyone. You can deduct it all you want from the fines or the restitution. It's still a fine that occurred. They're now asking you, on top of those two things, we want you to give him community service and jail time. It doesn't say how much jail time. And jail time. And by the way, while you're at it, for the restitution that has no dates on the first 2 pages and the other 2 pages, there are only 4 after 215. We want you to give him that too, $130,000. It's overkill.
This is exactly what you're saying, that they're over punishing.
And that is not justice. That's retribution.
Is this an argument, Perry?
And that has no place in the judicial system.
He already paid a fine. He already did community service.
Why should Mr. Smollett get probation? You've heard from the witnesses. I'm not going to rehash the testimony. And you specifically heard during the trial from someone who was in here today, Pamela Sharp. She talked about how Jussie gave most of his payments, his earnings, his salaries to charity. How many people do that? I haven't done it. Or maybe I've learned something from Mr. Smollett. How many people at the age of 16 were taking a bus to go do community service and charitable foundation work for other people in other countries that weren't even here? How many people do that? Most kids at 16 are playing video games.
Now they're saying that Jussie took a bus to go do his community
and that's
service.
The type of person we want to crucify.
Now you're pushing it, okay? We get it, he's doing community service.
And
he had to take a bus.
Jail. That's what we do to people like that. When according to the jury, they made a mistake. Lock him up. There's no violent crime, no felony. That is above a class 4, alleged. He has no felony conviction in his record. Mr. Webb brings up the DUI, but conveniently left out the fact that it was a misdemeanor, and he was drunk. When people are drunk, they say silly stuff. Let's not forget that. And he was 24 years old. He was a young man.
This is a new argument that we're hearing, that he was drunk at the time.
Your Honor
during the trial, anybody? I don't think so, but it makes sense. You gotta give him some excuse for doing what he did.
Mr. Uche, that's just you, his defense attorney. Of course you're gonna ask for probation. Well, the adult probation department here in this building that has been around forever gave you a probation report, Judge. And what did they rank Mr. Smollett using the Ohio risk scale assessment? They ranked him a 7. And when you compare that to the scoring system, 0 to 14 is considered low risk. So Mr. Smollett is not just low, but he's low within the low risk standard. 15 to 23, moderate risk. 24 to 33, high risk. 34 plus, very high. What do they recommend for a low risk individual?
Yeah, you guys, the
Minimal
drunk thing is new.
supervision.
It's new.
Non-monitoring supervision.
And I followed this
That's what they
case
told
to a T.
Point 4, there's extraordinary public policy. Mr. Webb got up here and talked about Mr. Smollett's conduct, and that's offensive. He's a black man, he knows. You can't educate him on racism issues.
Oh, that's right, because they're saying that the prosecutor is
Mr. Webb got up here
racist.
and said,
that he picked
well, Mr. Smollett,
people
what he's
that
done, because
voted
remember they're trying
Bro,
to.
you talk, you're gonna have to either turn it down or turn your mic up.
I'm saying that also, don't forget, they're accusing the prosecutor of being racist. I think they're just throwing the book in there. They're saying anything that they think is going to work. This is crazy. Let me keep going. Just wanted to add that note in.
Still haven't gone past the part that his case was dismissed and he paid a fine. And that's some serious constitutional issues. But what we do know statistically, in an era of partisan tribalism and hyper-aggressive tribalism, political tribalism, there has been bipartisan agreement that is disparate treatment of Black men and minorities in the criminal justice system. This is no longer a controversial topic. President Trump.
Tiva, how do you feel about them bringing race into it now at the umpteenth hour?
You know what? You got to give it to him. He's trying to save his client. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother. Talk.
I don't know. I was okay with he doesn't have any priors and all of that. Now saying that you're doing this because he's a Black man is getting risky.
I listed them in the what I turned over to you. Some including some level of violence, domestic violence case number 19 CR 0139401 with a prior. He got 2 years probation for class 4. And I'm sure Your Honor has absolutely every reason to have given that. DUI, serious offense, involving public safety, 24 months probation, case number 21 CR 0059101. And I list a bunch of cases, 6 more, class 4 felonies.
The smart strategy to say people have gotten less.
Right.
Oh, definitely, because and the racial thing is he's trying to say not that this is a racial case, but how Black men are treated in courts not unfairly.
But do you bring it in when you're guilty?
Well, he's guilty, but he didn't murder nobody.
Right. At this point, they're not saying whether he's guilty or not. They're saying how much time should he get? What should be the penalty?
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay,
He didn't murder nobody. And I know you've seen cases where people got less to nothing for doing worse. So,
That's what he's trying to say right now. He's bringing up the evidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
60 days in their house, home confinement, for an involuntary manslaughter where someone died.
He laughing. You saw her laugh? You saw her laugh?
Showed the statistics, Judge.
Yeah.
I put the filing that.
Who is that, Perry? You've been watching on morning. This woman. She's
That's
on.
when it's attorneys too.
Okay.
He get about 5 or 6.
Oh wow. Okay.
That somehow the Black community or the gay community, the irony of this situation, and Mr. Webb quotes statistics that he believes show that people are punished and false reporting. Well, most Black men and most Black people are falsely accused all the time. I mean, in an age of social media, we're inundated with.
What are you guys thinking about this? V, you think it's smart
Well, what's that?
to
What?
bring race and say most Black men are falsely accused? We know you did it, Jussie.
Right. No. I think you're missing a point, Sharrell. He's not saying that. Okay. His crime was falsely reporting something that didn't happen, right?
Yes.
They going back giving examples saying most Black men are falsely accused.
But that's what I'm saying.
But who else is okay? No. But who else is getting a class 4 when the Black man is falsely accused?
I don't
That's
know.
what he's trying to say. That's what
I
he's
don't
trying to
think
say.
you see what I'm saying, Sharrell. It's not about. Yeah, he's been proven guilty already.
Right.
That's a closed thing. Nobody's talking about that. He's giving examples on how should he be punished for what he did when other people don't get punished. When they call in a false police report, nobody gets time for that.
What do you think of that strategy?
I think it's good.
At this point, right before the sentencing, I'd rather him talk about that now and then after he gets sentenced and then go, well, he should have got less.
Yeah. He
He's
has to
giving
bring that
a-
out. People have to have that in their heads.
Yeah, they do. He bringing it right now, Sharrell. He bringing it. Who this brother? Who this brother?
Who that?
Who that be?
Differently. Now, he hasn't gotten it yet, thank God, but I don't know what will happen in the jail, where I showed you studies show, unfortunately, the guards in the jail, unfortunately for them, and it's wrong, are always the last to get medical treatment, including booster shots, which as of January, they haven't even received. So we send Mr. Smollett to jail, he dies of COVID, and what, for a class 4 low-level offense?
Go ahead, Diva.
He going too far now. Now you're gonna say this brother go to jail and die of COVID. Now see, I was with him for a minute there. Now he just taking this off the deep end. Now come on, now come back, my brother, come back.
Now he reaching, huh, Diva?
Now he reaching.
I don't know. I just don't want to piss off the judge.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking about. And so I don't know, but I'm not an attorney, so let's keep listening. Oh, wow.
For the rest of his life. That is punishment enough, mentally. The last one I'll make is public policy. There's public policy against retribution. Politics has no place in a courtroom. The courtroom is a graveyard for politics. And they can get up here and say the pride of Chicago was offended. That's fine. And time and money was wasted. And I heard Mr. Webb state to this court something I couldn't really decipher during the trial, that Mr. Webb did it for himself. The problem with that is we've all heard testimony from multiple people who say that Mr. Smollett does things for the community. And moreover, let's not forget, everyone testified unimpeached on their side or on our side too, in terms of this particular issue. Mr. Webb, in terms of deciding or trying to figure out what drove Mr. Smollett to do this, it started off by saying he wanted more money, then it became attention, then it became because of the letter he received. They haven't even up until now stuck to one issue. So I push back on that theory that Mr. Webb states to this court that Mr. Smollett did this because he was somehow benefiting himself. There was never a clear picture coming out of that for that. Judge,
You gotta say these things, right? That he didn't.
No, I don't know if he get to say all that. Now he's getting back to rehashing the court case. You know what I'm saying? At this point, talk about what the penalty gonna be and why you feel that he shouldn't receive that amount. Keep it with that.
Yeah.
He want to rehash the thing, and then now next he might say he's innocent.
That's what I'm scared is going to happen. I think he's going to borderline and come across cocky, like we're innocent and we don't deserve this. But you got charged. I don't know. Let's keep watching.
After this case, or during this case, I doubt that anymore. But at the time, he has suffered. And we see it every day as a defense team. He has suffered, and it's enough. It's really enough. And I'm not asking you, Jan, I'm not in front of you, and I've appeared in front of you on other cases. I'm not here telling you, Judge Lynn, give him a break, let him just walk out and forget about this. I haven't asked for that. I haven't told you to dismiss this case right now in this argument. But I do implore you, and I ask you respectfully, to focus on the law and to temper justice with mercy. We've all made mistakes, Judge, in this life, and I'm speaking from your point of view. There was a conviction in this case. But what I will leave you with, he that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone.
Oh, now he quoting the Bible.
Okay, now this is overkill.
Social media, crucify him, how dare him. Everyone's made mistakes.
He done talk me in and back out again.
Judge, I'll be asking you to follow your precedents and follow, the some of the recommendations. A lot of organizations offering to supervise Mr. Smollett. And that's really the way it should be. People are watching this case. Minorities, Black people, I've gotten so many letters a letter with Mr. Allen and I got yesterday from a lady complaining, how is a police officer who shoots a young man 16 times getting out of jail for 3 years, and someone might be suggesting incarceration for Mr. Smollett? That's a letter.
That's great. That's great. You have done worse crimes that get away with less.
Standard, and there is. But Your Honor has been one of the few people in the United States in terms of dispensing justice that has stuck to the letter of the law and has treated class 4 felonies the way they ought to be treated. And so, Judge, with that, I submit my client to your hands, and I ask you for mercy at this time, and I ask you not to allow a political stoking to influence your decision, which I know you will never. And I ask you to focus on the law and the fact that there is no enhancement ladder for time wasting and resource wasting. And so, Judge, one more thing I would say, Mr. Webb talked about the restitution. Now, Your Honor has the power to give restitution, and we concede that point at this time. But Judge, what I will remind you is, if Mr. Smollett has to pay that amount or any amount Your Honor deems fit, he's lost nearly everything. He's had a very negative, significant impact on his career and his finances. So I would just ask that if Your Honor is going to give him that restitution order, you give him some time to pay that. And I was shocked Mr. Webb was asking for incarceration, because for a second I wrote out my notes thinking he was going to ask for some sort of suspended jail time, which will in a way be a middle ground. I disagree with it. To say, Judge, maybe you give him a suspended jail time to allow him to pay. If he doesn't pay the fine within 6 months, he gets 6 months in jail. I thought that's what Mr. Webb was going to say, but of course I'm not the prosecution. So Judge, I would ask you respectfully to give Mr. Smollett probation, and in fact, I will be asking for no fines based on the fact that he's been fined before. Thank you, Judge Lane. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Sides did what they had to do.
Look at the prosecutor back there pissed. The brother pissed.
But for me, none of this matters. It's how Jussie's going to come across to the judge. Let me drop the link. I'm going to start bringing people up before he goes up there. Let me drop this link. I mean, wait, let's see what you're saying. Hold on.
You better not say too much, Sharrell.
He better not. He'll ruin his own case.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a little arrogant.
You keep wanting him to talk. Sometimes, what's the use? I mean, because if he get up there and start going back to he was really attacked, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah. He could ruin his own case. They shouldn't even let him go back up.
Yeah.
So now I guess we just wait for him to come back in the courtroom, though. But
we're waiting for Jussie. Let me take a couple calls, see what people have to say. Should I want to? Sometimes the
person that we haven't heard from yet, but the last person to speak here was Jussie Smollett's attorney, Inye Uche. As you've been able to listen into some of the final speakers here, Dan Webb and Inye Uche, what are your thoughts?
I'm very disappointed that Mr. Uche gave an argument that may give the judge some pause about what to do. If I were the defense attorney in this case, I would try to minimize the consequences for my client. The last thing in the world anybody wants is to be convicted of a felony. There's a provision in Illinois called second chance probation, which is probation, but it doesn't result in...
Pretty much saying the same thing we're saying. Let's take a call, see what people have to say.
Yeah.
Let me remove. I'm still watching, guys, trying to get more people on the screen. Hey, Sebastian.
Hey everyone, how are you guys?
Thoughts on what we heard?
Okay, you can't be pulling the race card when all three parties were black. Everyone here was black in this situation. What racial card are you gonna put? And also, didn't Pete say they looked like a white person while all you saw in the person was baby powder and toilet paper? What are you trying to pull?
The race card on the attorney.
There is no race involved in this. Jussie put himself into this. He put race into this. He put politics into this. He put himself into this. Jussie needs to pay and serve time for what he did. He needs to serve time for what he did, because if it was somebody else, not Jussie Smollett, someone who is let's say another black person did this, they would be serving so much time. They don't have the privilege that Jussie Smollett has. He has 6 attorneys. Who has the privilege for 6 attorneys? He needs to serve the time that they should give for each charge added up.
V, what are you thinking about what Sebastian just said? They brought the race card into this, and that's real tricky. And they're accusing the prosecutor of being racist. That might piss off the judge, don't you think?
Well, if you look at it as they brought the race card in, then yeah, but he was not doing it that way. He was making a statement about how black men are unfairly treated in the system, in the court system. So it wasn't just a black and white race thing. And then again, why do we need to punish this man 2 times?
It came across to me that he was pulling in the race card because he was. Go ahead, Sebastian.
V, you're saying how black men have been mistreated in the criminal justice system. I totally agree. Black men have been mistreated in the criminal justice system for things that did was wrong. No, for things that they didn't do. But Jussie Smollett did do this. He concocted this whole crisis and thing. The whole media is ashamed at Jussie Smollett. And I don't even know why people want to work with him anymore for media things. I'm not with cancel culture, but I hope one day he could redeem himself. He could redeem himself one day, and that day will be when he's out of the prison cell. He needs
and he should be ashamed of what he did. But at the same time, he didn't murder anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. He did this to himself. So why should he do prison time for doing something to himself? I just don't get that.
He lied. If this was a white woman, if this was a white
woman, hasn't lied?
Go ahead, Sebastian. What you say?
If this was a white woman who did a crime and conspired and created this new thing that a black person was assaulting her and everything, and then the police officers found out it was a lie, she probably would have served too.
No.
I don't think so.
Stop it right there.
But what Sebastian's trying to say, Perry, is he did it.
No. Sebastian just said if it was a white woman that accused a black person of done something and found out she was lying, she probably would have served time.
No,
we see it in many cases. People have ran their kids off the bridge and said a black person did it.
Does that mean
never nothing happened? And I don't have a problem with Jussie doing. You know what though? I'm not saying he should get no more or no less than anybody else who would have did the same kind of thing.
I agree with you.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling him to get less or more. But don't act like everybody's getting more when they just said somebody was in 60 days house arrest for manslaughter.
Exactly.
Okay, 60 days home arrest for manslaughter, right? I'm just saying, like, the rules need to be fair across the board.
Exactly.
Regardless, I don't think because he's famous or black, he should get less time or more time.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Ooh.
David says, I'm white. If I faked a racial hate crime against someone who was black, would community service still be enough?
Pretty much.
Let me add this, Sharrell. What people have to understand is the lawyer is just trying to say, let's do equal justice here, right?
Exactly.
And so there was a woman in New York that accused a young black boy of stealing her iPhone. Not only did he not steal her iPhone, she left it in a cab or something like that. That woman is doing no time.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? There's countless cases like that where people were accused of doing something and they looked a certain way and they got away with it.
I'm looking at this different. I'm looking at this. I'm talking to a white judge who has my fate in his hands. And well, the prosecutor's white and there's other people, but black men get charged more heavily for the things that they've done, and don't do the same thing. This is basically what he's saying. Don't over punish a black man. That's bringing race to it.
No, he's giving precedent though, Sharrell, because he named the cases.
He sure
He
did.
said in this
He sure
case,
did.
blah, blah, blah. He does have the right to bring up precedent to say, listen, I'm bringing up cases where the person did X, Y, Z, and they did not even get that much time. Yes,
Exactly.
okay, so he lied. He lied. But you got somebody who murdered somebody, and they was in their house with an ankle bracelet on, and they had house arrest. So
Right.
he was right in bringing up the precedent. Did he veer off the road a couple of times? Well, I think some stuff should have been cut out of his closing arguments. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I
he
agree.
was right for bringing up the precedent to say, listen, let's all calm down. Is making being political because we ticked off a police department because their feelings were bruised. Now you want him to have the ultimate punishment. We got to calm down. He did community service.
I don't want him to have the ultimate punishment, but he must serve time the same way a person who's not rich as him, who has the privilege as him, who can afford 6 attorneys can serve. That's what he should be serving. He should be serving the same amount of time a regular person could serve.
Andre, you're right. Because I'm pushing back.
Everybody's talking about race. When the prosecutor got up there, he's the one that brought up race. He's the one that talked about race. And I think that Jussie, he should get some time, but I don't think he should get life. I don't think he should get about 4 or 5 years. And we're talking about, what about that police woman that went inside that man's apartment and shot him? She only got 2 years. And out of 2 years, she's going to only do half of that. I'm not saying that he should not get anything. He should get at least maybe a year and a big fine. But see, nobody wants to talk about that.
You know what? Though,
they don't want to talk about that woman that killed that man and claimed that, she thought she was in her own apartment and she only got 2 years. And out of 2 years, she's doing almost 6 months off of that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with him being fined. And even though, you got to take murder, you got to take speeding. All of us are crime. But when you know, getting to speak, but I'm just saying, you get to keep it in moderations. The guy has lost a lot of stuff. You can factor that in, but that's not the reason why you would, give him less. But I think if it wasn't him, do you think somebody else would have got more time than that? Like time served? He lost $10,000.
For example, if it was me who did this, I probably would get time. Obviously, I don't have the money enough to get 6 attorneys. I don't have those resources that Jussie has. I probably would get that time. Which is probably 3 to 4 years, maybe. I probably would.
Wow.
But are we going to condemn him because he got 6 attorneys? Are we going to condemn him for that?
We're not condemning him for 6 attorneys. We're not going to condemn him for that. I'm not going to condemn him for 6 attorneys because you got to defend yourself.
What are you talking about?
But I'm going to defend the fact. I'm not going to defend the fact that he's way more privileged than anyone else. And let's say another black person did the same thing, they would be serving a lot of more time than Jussie's probably going to get. That's what I'm saying. He has more resources than the average black male.
But most stars do have better resources. That don't mean they should be.
I got a long line today. I don't know what's going on. People need to talk. Thank you guys for calling in. I'm trying to take as many calls today as I can take. So anything else you want to say, Andrea, before we sound off?
No, I just think that it should be justice across the board. That's what I think.
I totally agree with you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Oh my God, I got a lot of people. Wow. Hi, Nina. Is that you, Nina?
Yes, this is me, darling. Of course. My many faces.
Show that shit. Nina, sound off on what you heard.
What I heard was
because I'm gonna see what you want.
Somebody got an echo.
That's you.
Can y'all hear me?
Apartments, yeah. Go ahead, Nina. Nina? Nina?
She lost her voice.
Oh, let's see. Hi, Apartments. Can you sound?
Y'all hear me?
Yeah. Now we can hear you. Go ahead, Nina. I don't know what's going on. Oh,
Hear me?
okay. No,
No,
Hear you, Nina.
no,
no.
Can y'all hear me?
Now we
no.
can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Sound off. What'd you want to say?
What happened?
She can't hear us.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, she keeps coming in and out or
I
something.
think when we hear her, she don't hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound off. Hey, apartments, how you doing?
I'm a smoke.
She might be on mute or something.
Can you hear us?
Or the internet dragging or something.
Take that shit.
Apartments, can you hear us?
That motherfucker couldn't give me. I could get this shit right here. This block work.
Okay, we're gonna give him time to work that out. Hi, Jussie, don't mess. How are you?
How y'all doing, y'all?
Good.
Hi.
Sound what we seen.
Based on what we seem like, I do agree with everyone. Like, he should get something, but it shouldn't be as severe. Like, I'm thinking, give him a year, but let him serve 6 months, a hefty fine, and he should be doing community service and get some therapy to address this. Because the thing that's kind of just been confusing as a black man, a black gay man in this, is the why. I'm not understanding why he would do this. What was the point of it all?
Now, somebody's saying, Lynn Anderson saying, do you realize how many police were assigned to investigate this? How many people died during that time? Chicago went nuts when this happened to Kim Fox, the original prosecutor, blew this. She charged him $10,000 and nothing else. What do you think about people who said you wasted valuable money and time and you need to pay some kind of price? What do you say to that?
I find it very interesting that when it's a person of color, all of a sudden people want to get on their high horse and be so righteous about justice and being fair. But when it's one of their fellow brethren, our alabaster, our white brothers and sisters, they're like, oh, they're just a kid. Oh, this is just an experience, will never repeat again. I wish that the same grace could be extended to us at times. Granted, we don't agree with what Jussie did, but at the same time, he didn't murder somebody. He didn't take away someone's grandmama, someone's auntie, someone's stepchild. So I think his situation is more complex and we need to address it accordingly versus just trying to just hit him with the bug just because.
Right.
This verdict is going to be looked at differently through what race you are.
Yes, it does. But I think for us as black people, people of color, we always tend to try to hold ourselves accountable, especially when his story wasn't that makes sense. Be like, okay, brother, like you're messing it up for us, so we need to like put your feet to the fire. But it's like if someone does not understand the experience and how the criminal justice system works against us and how it prosecutes us at a different rate than everyone else, then they're not gonna understand why we are asking for a lesser sentence, or for his, at least for other things to be considered for him, rather than just giving him 3 years for lying about a hate crime. Not saying like that's okay, but lying about a hate crime and then trying to get away with it. Like, clearly he didn't get away with it. We know he's lying, but it's just like it doesn't warrant that he needs to go to jail for a substantial amount of time.
I agree.
Question: do you think he hurt himself the most in this case?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Do you think he hurt himself the most out of everybody involved in this case?
Yeah, I think the public shame, and like he will never have a career working in Hollywood again because of this. And if he does, it's probably going to be self-financed by himself. So I think that damage is done. Granted, is that enough? Depending on who you talk to, yes or no. But I think like he's paid the price with that. He no longer has a career in entertainment, so he's going to have to find a new way of supporting himself and his family. So I think he paid in that regard. I think that on top of whatever the judge decides, that should seal the case for him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your thoughts? We still have to hear Jussie talk. Jussie. So that make or break the judge's decision. It's all about how it comes across to the judge.
He needs to be humble and he needs to be like on point. He cannot afford to get emotional on that stand. He can't.
What would you say to the judge?
I mean, if this was a moment for him to be honest about it, I think this will save him. I think he should come clean. Like, if you did this, tell the truth now, because that might sway the judges.
You think he should tell the judge, I'm sorry, I did it?
I think so, yes, because here's my thing, and even like the prosecutor said this when they were going about, it's like he has not shown an ounce of remorse. Like he is sticking firm to this lie, and I'm like, your life is on the line at this point. You have no career in Hollywood. Let that go. If you want to give yourself a chance of at least getting the minimum amount of jail sentence and having probation, then you need to like own up, step to the plate, and just tell the truth.
Yeah. I doubt that would happen, but that's how I would do it. But
I would do it that way, yes.
Well, you know, because at the end of the day, he was already found guilty, right? Whether, say if he was innocent, he was already found guilty. He about ready to get sentenced off that guilt. So saying it, if you did it, you clear your chest at this point, and do so some kind of remorse.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I understand, like citizens pay for this money. And I think not just Jussie should have this responsibility. I think anybody that calls people sick, like tax dollars and stuff like that, should have to pay restitution. I mean, because like, yeah, we can come out here and say, well, hey, he cost this cop, you know, this maybe X amount of money. I think everybody that's found guilty should have to pay that restitution back.
Agreed.
As far as tax dollars spent and stuff like that. And really, for him, I don't really think he even deserved time at this point, just maybe probation and restitution. And I think, because, you know, $130,000 is probably way more than some people are doing 5 years in jail.
All right. Thank you for calling in, caller. I appreciate the call.
Thank you so much, for take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Perry, you have a habit of every time we go to the next caller.
Oh, my bad.
But personally, I think, Perry, that he shouldn't even get up there and talk now. I think he should. He gonna do more damage than good.
I feel that way too. And I wouldn't admit to no guilt. I would be like, look, Your Honor, you know, I appreciate the court. I appreciate everybody. Just give me leniency.
That's how I feel. I would handle it. I would be humble and sympathetic, and that's how I would handle it. Nick, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm good.
What do you think of just seen?
So I think that Jussie should do some jail time. Not a whole lot, but this is the thing. I just think what he did was just too much. I mean, he staged a whole hate crime. And the fact that I think he did it, remember, because Empire, when it first came out, it was good. You know, everyone was watching it. Everyone loved it. And then it kind of like just went, it like kind of started tanking after like the third season or so. And I felt that he did it because he felt that he wanted to stay famous. He wanted to keep his name out there. And I think if Jussie didn't stage this whole thing, that he still would have been able to get work. He would have been fine. And the fact that he did this, it's just like he wasted so much time and money. And it's like, for what? I really think that him doing that, it's like a problem. He has a problem of a fame problem. Like he wants to be famous. He wants to be known. And no, I think they said that he's sentenced to a maximum of 3 years, but he does, you know, I don't think he should do the whole 3 years at all. But if he does get sentenced, I think it'll probably be about a year. And I think he deserves it. I mean, this is not even a color issue at this point. What he did with the noose and then the whole Subway thing, and then, you know, coming from Subway and then just being robbed and this and that. It's just like, I really don't like that he staged all of that, because he didn't have to do that. He was fine. He would have been fine. Even if Empire would have stopped, you know, coming on, he still would have had a job. He still would have been good in Hollywood.
Stanique,
I just think he should pay for it.
Stanique, thank you for calling in. I want to hear what the judge is saying, okay?
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
Take care. Okay, bye-bye. Let's see what the judge is saying.
Ending in mistrust. In any event, some things happened after the first dismissal, the only dismissal on the case after the first indictment. People were very upset. One person came forward in particular, and that person, of course, is Sheila O'Brien. Sheila O'Brien is a former retired appellate court justice in the state of Illinois. She came to court as a common citizen without credentials, just by herself. And she said she had a grievance and she wanted her grievance heard. And she thought that with the handling of the case by the state's attorney's office of Cook County was so upsetting that she was losing sleep. And she explained in her petition all the reasons that she thought that a special prosecutor had to be appointed, not to necessarily indict or do anything in particular, but just to look at this and give it a fresh look because something appeared to be wrong. The case ultimately got assigned to Judge Michael Tooman. And I can say that among his peers, among his fellow judges, Michael Tooman is considered cream of the crop. He's a long-standing veteran judge, and a judge longer than I've been a judge. He sat in this building for many years. He sat on the appellate court of Illinois. He's the current head of the juvenile justice system. He has been a long-standing judge who has a reputation for knowledge, integrity, honesty, and always knowing what the right thing to do is. He took this matter under advisement and hearings were conducted. And after all these hearings were conducted and he listened to both sides, he heard from the State's Attorney of Cook County, he heard from Ms. O'Brien, he recognized that there was confusion in the public, there was concern, that confidence in the criminal justice system locally here was at risk and may have been damaged, and that the case required a second look. And Michael Tooman, in his wisdom, sought out the proper, what he thought to be the right person to address this. He identified Dan Webb and the Winston Strong law firm as the people that might be able to take on the task. Dan Webb and Winston Strong agreed to take on the task. And as I already indicated, they did this pro bono, which means they did it for free. I don't know that at the time they signed up for this, that they had any idea that it was going to be as work intensive as this case has become. This case took several years, and we were slowed down by COVID a little bit, but the amount of pretrial motions that were filed were exhaustive. I have never, other than death penalty cases, which I used to preside over, seen anything like the extent of filing pretrial motions. And I'm not faulting the defense for filing many motions. I will just say that this case received as much attention and was gone over every little bit of it by a fine-tooth comb as thoroughly as any case I've ever seen before. The stacks of pleadings are high. I've got stacks on my desk that are unprecedented. And we had to wade through all of them, and it took a long time to do that. And there was a tremendous amount of attorney manpower and billable hours that were lost by the Winston Strong firm. And they did it selflessly. They did it because they thought they needed to do the right thing. All I can say is, a member of the judiciary, thank you, because that was very, very extraordinary. And I have no idea what the amount of billable hours are, and I can only imagine, but I think it is huge and truly significant. In any event, what happened here is that after Mr. Webb, the case, they had several assignments, one of which was to look into the conduct of the State's Attorney's Office, and they returned a report to Judge Tooman about that, their findings about that, another about the Chicago Police Department, their handling the case, they did that. But what's here, of course, is that they went to another grand jury, and they returned a second indictment. And the second indictment, ultimately, by random, got assigned to this particular court. And we came here. We've been here for a couple of years now. Well, the pretrial motions have been resolved. A trial by jury was held. The defendant was found guilty of 5 of 6 counts of felony disorderly conduct, class 4 offenses. Our post-trial motions have now been resolved. The pre-sentence investigation.
You're watching the CBS 2 News at 6 with our special coverage of the Smollett sentencing. Let's listen into the judge.
That sentencing. Let me talk first about the sentencing range, because I think there may be some misunderstanding, at least how the court assesses the sentencing range. This is a class 4 felony. This is the lowest class felony in the state of Illinois. I will note that legislatures throughout the country, in Illinois in particular, have constantly cut into judicial discretion and forced us to have mandatory sentencings under different circumstances. We have to do this and we have to do that. Try to have some kind of cookie cutter justice, but that does not exist in this case for me. I am left unfettered. Under Illinois law, the range of sentence in this case is as follows. Mr. Smollett is looking at a probationary term of up to 30 months. He can receive time in the county jail as a condition probation of up to 180 days. He can be ordered to perform community service, ordered to participate in behavioral classes, ordered to pay restitution, ordered to pay a fine. He's also subject to a penitentiary sentence of what I find to be 1 to 3 years. And there's talk about, well, what about 5 counts? Shouldn't he be at least eligible for a 15-year sentence? There are ways to analyze Illinois law and say that in a case where there are 5 counts, consecutive sentences might be required or might be at least considered. I don't believe that I could ever make the findings that are necessary in Illinois law, and I'm not going to have a long dissertation about it, but I don't think those findings would apply. I don't think Illinois law, for the facts I have before me, would allow for consecutive sentences. So as far as I'm concerned, the penitentiary sentence, should there be one, would be 1 to 3 years. I'm mindful that there's acute public interest in this case. We have television cameras that they want to be here, and they are here. People are watching. People seem to care passionately for varieties of reasons about this case, and the reasons are many. And let me be clear that the sentence that I put down today and render down to Mr. Smollett is not in any way, shape, or form to assuage any public sentiment in any form at all. I'm listening to things that were brought to me in court today, people that have participated in the aggravation and mitigation portions of the presentation today, but this is not for the public. The sentence that's going to be rendered today is going to be strictly for Mr. Smollett. It's going to be fashioned for him. And when a judge sentences somebody, and I've been doing this for quite a while now, you have to look at both the crime that was committed and the person that committed it. How did the person get here? Who is this person? What is the crime? You put them together, you look at the sentencing range, and you try to find something that is just and fits and makes sense and that is right. And that's what we're going to do. Let me tell you, Mr. Smollett, I know that there is nothing that I will do here today that can come close to the damage you've already done to your own life. You've turned your life upside down by your misconduct and shenanigans. You've destroyed your life as you knew it. And there's nothing that any sentencing judge could do to you that can compare to the damage you've already caused yourself. So who is Jussie Smollett? Who are you? And how, out of all people in the world, did you get to be here, sitting in the courtroom in Chicago at a sentencing hearing, convicted of faking, hoaxing, racial and homophobic hate crimes? How in the world did this happen? Well, there are ironies in this case, and the ironies are many and they are profound. And I'm talking about the testimony I heard under oath from Mr. Smollett, corroborated in large part by the pre-sentence investigation. Mr. Smollett chose to take the witness stand, which of course is his right. He took an oath and got on the witness stand, and the first thing he did was to introduce himself to the jury. He wanted the jury to know who he was, where he came from, what he was about. And I heard it on the witness stand. I heard it corroborated today by the witnesses that came and testified on his behalf. There's no question, Mr. Smollett was born into a mixed-race family. His mom is an African-American woman. His dad was a white Jewish man. There were 6 siblings. And if you can say anything about this family, and we're talking about a very, very tight-knit family, a village that was always in sync with each other, that cared about each other, was completely, wholly supportive of each other. You know that this family knew about matters about social justice more than anything else. That's what the family stood for. It is part of the fabric of their existence. I know that Jussie Smollett grew up knowing to be sensitive to matters about racial discrimination, any kind of discrimination, any kind of social injustice. And as a matter of fact, I'm learning more about it as we're going on in the letters I've been receiving and the testimony I've heard today. He's been doing this all his life. He doesn't just talk the talk, he's walking the walk. He's out there, he's advocating. He's involved in the community. He cares deeply about social justice issues. And for you now to sit here, convicted of hoaxing hate crimes, racial hate crimes, and homophobic hate crimes. The hypocrisy is just astounding. I don't know where to begin. I will remember one thing that will always stick in my mind, and I'm involved in so many trials over the years, but something happened in this trial that it was remarkable, and it talks about your sensitivity to issues of social justice. You're on the witness stand. You're being cross-examined. Your liberty is at stake. It is your criminal trial. Mr. Webb is winding through some things on cross-examination, and he's going through some social media communications, and whether it was Instagram or chat or text, a little quibbling about that, that doesn't matter. But Mr. Webb found a line that he wanted to confront you with. He said, "Didn't you say," and he used a word starting with the letter N, "meet me at this place at this time," and I'm paraphrasing. And rather than just answer the question, which what is a witness is supposed to do and expected to do in their criminal trial, you stopped the proceedings. You said, "Mr. Webb, out of respect for all the African American people in this courtroom, you should not be using that word." And I was amazed, but it showed, and I'm not talking about the parrying and the gamesmanship that may go on between a prosecutor and a witness on the stand. That's not why I'm telling this, recalling this event. But what I'm talking about is how sensitive you were to any kind of slight, that anybody, if the wrong words come out of somebody else's mouth, you're going to get up and speak up and complain about it and make sure that they know that they're not behaving the way you're supposed to behave. So you know better than anybody else that these are serious matters. They're serious to you. They're clearly serious to you and as your whole family. And for you to be here now, convicted of these hate crimes, it's just astonishing. Faking hate crimes. So why this happened? That's a good question. I think that's the question on everybody's mind. There's some conjecture you did it for the money. Frankly, I do not believe that you did it for the money. You were making, the evidence showed, close to $2 million a year when this happened. I don't think money motivated you at all. But the only thing I can find is that you really craved the attention and you wanted to get the attention and you were so invested in issues of social justice and you knew that this was a sore spot for everybody in this country. You knew this was a country that was slowly trying to heal past injustices and current injustices and trying to make a better future for each other. And it was a hard road, and you took some scabs off some healing wounds and you ripped them apart for one reason. You wanted to make yourself more famous, and for a while it worked. Everybody was talking about you. The lights are on you. You were actually throwing a national pity party for yourself. And why would you do such a thing? Why would you, I understand you crave the attention so much, but why would you betray something like social justice issues, which you care so much about? And the only thing I can conclude is that, and I acknowledge, there are wonderful sides to you. There are very giving and charitable and loving sides to you, but you have another side of you that is profoundly arrogant and selfish and narcissistic. That's the only thing that can be concluded. And that bad side of you came out during the course of all these events. Let me talk about hate crimes for a minute. I've been a criminal judge for many years, and I've heard many victims of crimes testify in front of me. And any victim of a crime, no matter what the crime is, they are demoralized by what happens to them. It doesn't matter if you're injured unjustifiably, if somebody hurts you and maybe cripples you or damages you in some fashion, that's going to be long-standing injuries. If your property is stolen, your vehicles are stolen, people go into your homes, your property possessions are stolen, people do all kinds of terrible things. It is a demoralizing experience, and sometimes it's the worst experience that anybody can ever go through in their entire life. And then if it turns out that the motivation for the criminal to do something bad to you was because they hate you because of your race, because of your ethnicity, because of your gender, your sexual orientation, your religion, your age, your disability. If that was the reason for it, it is exponentially worse. There is nothing worse than to be a victim of a hate crime. It is the worst thing that can happen, especially in our country with all our history and all that we're going through now to try to get around some of these issues. Hate crimes are the absolute worst. And I believe that you did damage to real hate crimes, to hate crime victims. There are people that are actual, genuine victims of hate crimes that you did damage to. These are people that have a difficult time coming forward. They may be mistrustful. They may not want to bring it to the attention of the community or first responders. There may be some trepidation. I don't know for sure how much damage there was. I don't know how this is going to impact other people, if they're going to be hesitant to come forward because they're going to think that they're going to be accused of acting like you and doing a stunt like you pulled here. I don't know if first responders are going to be more doubtful and skeptical of people that come forward, real victims of hate crime, because of what you did here. I'm hoping it's not that way. And I'll show one of the ironies in this case. And I find this pretty profound. I got letters from people that advocate about victims of hate crime their entire lives. They devote their lives to this. I'm talking in particular, Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP, Reverend Jesse Jackson, he's an icon here in Chicago, no introductions necessary. They devote their whole lives to addressing issues about social injustice and hate crimes. And they are here today asking me to show you mercy. And I take that seriously. I find it profound. I take it seriously. And I know that they're in a better position than myself to educate the public about that topic, about the damage you've done to real victims of hate crime. And I am confident that because of all the attention that you garnered here on this case, that they are going to seize the opportunity and they will educate the public and they'll be talking about this and they'll try to mitigate some of the damage that you've caused to real victims of hate crimes, and they're better positioned to do it than I am, and I will defer. But I will acknowledge that you have done some real damage. I want to talk about your premeditation. Again, I've been a criminal judge for many years, and I know that people end up where you are right now, awaiting sentencing on their criminal trial. How did they get to court? How did that happen? There's some people that wake up in the morning, they have no intention of doing anything wrong. They're not looking to do anything criminal. They're on their minds. But there are crimes of impulse that happen. Road rage, a barroom fight, bumping into somebody. Words are exchanged that somebody finds insulting, and sometimes weapons are available, and the results can be horrific, and they can be permanent. And people are sitting here and they're wondering themselves, how did I get here? I wasn't looking for trouble, but trouble just seemed to find them, and crimes and impulse. And when I'm saying that I have to put the person and the crime together and try to mix them and understand who it is that committed this crime within the sentencing range, and that's part of my job to do, I consider how the person got here. So, but this is not a crime of impulse. There are also crimes of opportunity. Walking down the street and somebody they left the keys in the car with the motor running, and they take the car. Or they're in the department store and they see someone put the credit card on this side and they go to adjust their baggage on the other side and grab the credit card. Those are crimes of opportunity. They didn't wake up thinking they're going to commit a crime, but something just looked too tempting to them. They use very bad judgment, and then they get in trouble, they get caught, and here they are. But then there are crimes of premeditation. Mr. Smollett, that's what you are all about here. Crime of premeditation. You did wake up in the morning thinking you were going to do something bad and something wrong. And I know more today about this than I ever did before, that there are some wonderful things about you. And I know how people, they cherish you, and they cherish your relationships, and they cherish the good works that you've done. And they love you sincerely and deeply. And they're not faking, they're not lying when they talk to me about their feelings about you, the good things that you've done. But you had that dark side, and this is what happened here. You premeditated this case to an extreme that's amazing. You wrote a script.
Wow.
Chicago's first local news stream is now CBS.
Can you believe they're gone to commercial? This is how long the judge is taking to talk. It doesn't sound good. What do you guys think really quick before they come back?
I have no idea, but in spurts, it's not sounding good.
It's not sounding good at all. Diva.
He's pissed. He's pissed. He's
Yeah.
saying, listen, you of all people should know, because you want to tell me about all your charity work, and you want to sit in this court and say this man shouldn't say the N-word. So you of all people should have known that you shouldn't have been out there calling this a hate crime. He's pissed. He's pissed. It's scaring me. I'm nervous for Jussie. If I were 10 right now, I would just start crying.
It's not okay. Hold on. We're back. Come on.
A little advice about diet and exercise, but they idolized you and they would have done anything for you, and you chose them because you knew that you could trust them, that they were loyal to you. You paid them in advance by check. Not necessarily a good idea. but it was your idea. It was part of the plan that you would pay them in advance, and the check was out there. The check was shown into evidence. That was part of your premeditation. You chose a date. You chose a time. You chose a location. You had props prepared. You gave them a $100 bill and had them get the supplies. What are the supplies in this case? Get masks. Nobody should see you. We're going to say that you're white. Obviously, the Oceandero brothers are not white. We're going to cover your faces with masks. We're going to have a red hat because that's going to indicate MAGA country. We're going to get a rope that we're going to use as a noose. We're going to procure some bleach. You're going to have the supplies. And then you had all that together, and then you did rehearsals. You picked them up and you did drive-bys. You drove around and around the block. You picked them up in Lakeview in their neighborhood, and some distance away you went to Streeterville where you were living, and you showed them. You're going here, you're going there, and you're going over the lines. You're going over the script with them so they would memorize the script. You're indicating which brother. You're the one that's going to hit me. You're the one that's going to put the noose around my neck and pour the bleach on me. This was planned. This was premeditated. Premeditated to the extreme. And I find that your extreme premeditation in this case is an aggravating factor today. Let's talk about the incident itself. It's all set up. The Oceandero brothers are on board. Your plane is running late. You had a chance right then and there to think, okay, I'm really late. I'm 4 hours late. This can't go down. It's freezing in Chicago. We're on the verge of a polar vortex. You might have just thought about it and said, maybe it's not in the cards. Maybe the karma is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. But no. You double down. You start communicating with the brothers through social media. Now, whether it was by texts or chats or Instagram, public or private, one way or another, you kept in touch with them. And there was some quibbling about the specifics about how you kept in touch with them, but they knew what time you were coming in. And now the time is pushed back to 2 o'clock in the morning in the freezing cold weather. It's double digits below zero at 2 o'clock in the morning. You have to have a reason to be out on the street. And the reason you chose is you come up with a story that you needed to get some eggs at Walgreens at 2 o'clock in the morning. If not that, you're going to go to Subway and get a sandwich and a salad and get something to eat at 2 o'clock in the morning in the freezing cold. You did one more thing. You got the Oceandero brothers. Now they're on board with you. You're using them as your patsies. You have your friend, you get your friend Brandon on the phone, and here's a man, a professional man that's trying to help you in your career. You're not sure what town he's in, if he's in Australia or not, but you get him on the phone, and he's going to be your patsy also, because he's going to listen and be around on the phone to hear that you're being attacked by somebody. Now, he doesn't know what's going on, that it's really not an attack, but he's going to be able to corroborate your story. So you're getting that together. You got Brandon on the phone, you're out on the street ostensibly to get some Subway, you get some Subway, and you're walking to where this is supposed to take place. Now the Oceandero brothers, they're getting ready too. And they're doing this because you wanted them to do it on the sneak. No cell phones involved. Make sure nobody sees you get there. And
we've gone silent. That's not on our half. What's happening? Something's happening. Hold on. It's putting you on mute. I don't know what happened.
Is it us or them?
It's them. Diva, I can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Yeah, I said this is bad. This is sad.
You better not be giving a sentence right now.
Yeah, the judge is not happy.
I can't. I'm upset. I want to hear what's going on. Perry, do you have it on your phone?
I'm trying to find it now. I had it, lost it. Come on now.
It's silence there too. Do you think he hit mute or something?
The judge did something. He better not be sentencing right now.
I know.
The police arrive. The first officer on the scene is Chicago Police Officer Mohammed Day in full uniform. The first responder and the first responders. His body cam is on. He sees him. And now he sees it and this is
I don't have sound for mine either.
I don't know what happened.
Sees that noose is around your neck, but it's not the way that you walked into the house. Now the noose is up at your throat. You believe it, and you've made it look worse than it was.
It's back. Hold on.
This is part of your plan.
It's very low.
Officer Bay gets a simple question: what happened? And then you start to lie, and you haven't stopped lying ever since. You've been lying and lying and lying about this case, and that's why you're here today. You want to fake an incident on the street, try to get some attention at work, try to have somebody else feel sorry for you. Would never have got you here. The problem was you lied to the police, and you caused all kinds of consternation. You caused a major investigation to take place, which got many people involved and caused great stress throughout the city and throughout the entire community here. And that's the problem. That's why you're here now. Those are the crimes you're convicted of, not the shenanigans out there, but the lying about it, making it up, and that's why we're here now. You repeated your lies to the hospital. 6 counts were put together. The jury found you guilty of 5 of them. One was a little bit different than the others, and I understand that. Let me say, from my vantage point, and I was obviously here at every stage of this trial, I thought the jury's verdict was accurate, correct, wholly corroborated, but what could only be described as overwhelming evidence of guilt against you for lying. That's the crime you're here for, lying to the police. Well, Officer Bay took this very seriously. He said, that's a horrible thing that happened. And he started the process of a police investigation. Detectives got involved. You ended up at the hospital. All things were starting to happen. And this word got out. And you're not just any person. You have a little bit of celebrity about you. You were known in some circles as a very competent actor, a really good actor in a very serious television production called Empire. And people knew about this. And because you're a celebrity and because you've been so active in all these social justice causes, and this is what is so unbelievable about this case, that you of all people are here convicted of hoaxing hate crimes. You who know better, who are out there in the world trying to be something for the good in social justice causes, that you ended up here right now like this. It's crazy, but you know people in high places, elected public officials. They reacted. You knew mainstream journalists. They reacted. You became the first page, your front page news. You're talked about in the halls of Congress. People are talking about making laws to prevent what happened to you to happen to anybody else. People on mainstream media, Congress, people are talking about making laws to prevent what happened to you to happen to anybody else. People on mainstream media are decrying what happened. What kind of country is this? How could they do this to Jussie? We know Jussie. He's such a gentle guy. He's the guy that was described to me. They were giving you the national pity party you wanted. They're putting you on the front page. All the attention is on you. People talk about social injustice. Your name was coming up first, which is exactly what you wanted, but you used them. If anything, people in those positions, elected public officials, mainstream journalists, their credibility is everything to them. And you didn't care that you might be damaging it. You did damage to them because, again, there's a side of you that has this arrogance and selfishness and narcissism that's just disgraceful. And you planned work, of course, until it didn't. We're in Chicago. You lived here for 5 years, working on the Empire show. And you have to know, as well as anybody that lives in Chicago, that Chicagoans, they love their city. They are fiercely loyal to the city. And believe me, Chicagoans know we don't all agree with each other on a lot. There are all kinds of disagreements on what our city should be, what the vision should be for the future. There's even disagreements about what our past was like. But despite all the disagreements and all the things that are not right with Chicago, it's sweet home to Chicago to the Chicagoans. Chicagoans are fiercely loyal to their city. But Chicagoans have one thing in common that they agree on, that there's no misunderstandings. Everybody's on the same page. And that page is crime is a problem. It is a major problem. Nobody disagrees. And we know that police resources, they are valuable. They're limited. Detective resources are precious, and they cannot be squandered. And what you did, because you were selfishly, arrogantly, and narcissistically bringing attention to yourself, it's the only reason you could have been doing such a crazy thing that you did, was you took away a lot of resources from other places, from other real victims of real crimes. You used up the police resources for your own benefit, and that's a big problem here. What you did is you created what we call around here a heater. What's a heater? A heater is a case that when it's reported to the public conscience is shocked to such an extreme that the public is demanding that the police solve this crime here, right now, right here, right now. Everything else has to take second place. The heater has to be addressed. And you created a heater. And boy, did they put on an investigation. And I know that I've been listening to Chicago police officers and listening about police investigations for many years. And it's certainly not a perfect police department. It's perhaps unfairly maligned in some respects as well. I'll match the homicide detectives here against any in the country for their competence and thoroughness. Not a question about that. But what they did in this case is extraordinary. I've never seen, even in some murder cases, the amount of police work that went into this investigation. You did exactly what you didn't want to happen. They put so many police resources into this. When I say what you didn't want to happen is you never wanted this case solved. You thought that somehow you'd be able to skate by and nobody would ever know what really happened here. And you're going to walk away from this, and it didn't go down like that at all, of course. So they solved the case. And what happened? Turns out that you're not a victim of a hate crime. You're not a victim of a racial hate crime. You're not a victim of a homophobic hate crime. You're just a charlatan pretending to be a victim of a hate crime. And that's shameful, especially from the family you got brought up with your family values. It's so sad. The damage you've done to yourself is way beyond anything else that can happen to you from me or any other judge that would be sentencing you in this criminal case. You are now a permanently convicted felon. Your family who loves you and supports you, I only want to use the word forgive because forgiveness isn't even necessary. They're with you so much. They're so tight-knit, but you have to live with the fact that you really put them through a ringer. You've embarrassed your valuable friends in high places, the elected public officials, people in the media. You've embarrassed them. You have to live with that. I don't know if those relationships can be repaired. You've become toxic in your own workplace. Your career future is uncertain at very best. It was really on a rocket ship to success, and now you've turned yourself into riches to rags, and it's so unfortunate. Your very name has become an adverb for lying, and I cannot imagine what could be worse than that. People talk about situations where somebody's lying and trying to manipulate and maneuver a story, and your name comes up. There's, pulling a Jussie, something like that. That's awful. You're the butt of jokes. Comedians, mainstream talk show hosts, they make jokes about you. They do sketches about you. I can't imagine anything worse than that. Now, this is all self-inflicted. These are things you did to yourself. This is self-damage. Well, some people may think that what you did is funny and that there's some room for humor or jokes about it. But I assure you this court does not. I don't think there is anything funny at all about hoaxing and faking racial hate crimes, hoaxing or faking homophobic hate crimes. I think that is disgraceful. There is nothing funny about it. There's no humor in what you did whatsoever, all because you're selfish, arrogant, narcissistic. At least you have that side in you that came out through this case, and you kept doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. And I'm your sentencing judge, and I don't find it funny. So where are we at? We're at the end. You are convicted of a Class 4 felony. It's presumptively probationable, but we have some real serious aggravating factors here. your premeditation, which I've described, the pain you've caused to real victims of hate crimes, which I've described, the damage you've done to the city of Chicago, I've heard. It's been talked about. I'm mindful of the city's request for restitution, and if I'm going to fashion that, consider that request, I have to fashion the sentence accordingly. And above all, the capper of all cappers, your performance on the witness stand. This could only be described as pure perjury. You got on the witness stand, you didn't have to, you did, you certainly have a right to, but you committed hour upon hour upon hour of pure perjury. And I find all those to be ample factors. If this court were to decide that the things you did, that any kind of probationary sentence would deprecate the seriousness of the offense and you need to go to the penitentiary, the record is clear and it would support it. But I'm looking at everything in its totality. And I agree. It's told to me today, you can't judge everybody by one bad thing they've done in their life. I don't know if it's the only bad thing, but it's the only bad thing that I'm concerned about now. And that you do have quite a record of real community service and quite a record of attaching with people. There is a lot of mitigation in this case as well. And I'm mindful of the pleas of mercy, particularly from people that are in the arena of dealing with social justice issues, that are fighting, seriously fighting, not playing around, not doing games like you were doing, but seriously fighting for matters involving hate crimes of all sorts. And they're asking you for mercy as well. So I'm trying to consider who you are as a person, how you got here, how somehow you strayed away from your family values, you let that dark, narcissistic, selfish, and arrogant side come out, and you persisted with it for years on this case. I'm fashioning the following sentence, and here's your sentence. I'm sentencing you to 30 months felony probation, and the probation is going to be to this court. You're going to be allowed to travel wherever you want. You do not have to live in the state of Illinois. You can report by phone. I know that if you're going to try to make a living and do some of the things you do, you may have to go to other places, New York and Los Angeles. You can do those things. You will pay restitution to the city of Chicago in the amount of $120,106. You are fined $25,000, which is the maximum fine. And you will spend the first 150 days of your sentence in the Cook County Jail. And that will start today, right here, right now. Mr. Smollett, so the jury found you guilty and I've sentenced you as I have. You have the right to appeal the findings and rulings of the court or ask your sentence to be modified. To do those things, you need to file a notice of appeal in writing within 30 days. You may also file a motion to modify your sentence, which would have to be filed in writing within 30 days. Anything not stated in those filings are waived for purposes of appeal. If you cannot afford lawyers or transcripts, they would be provided free of charge. Do you have any questions?
No, I would just like to say to Your Honor that I am not suicidal. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I am not suicidal.
Okay.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years, and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you, and I respect the jury, but I did not do this. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal.
Okay. Mr. Uche, let me inquire, are there any post-sentencing motions you care to present right now?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Ms. Widow.
The defense would wish to present a motion to reconsider sentence and file it in stancher.
Right. It is timely filed.
Thank you, Judge.
And let me say, I've obviously considered the sentence at great length. And it's timely filed, so it's preserved for purposes of appeal. Motion to reconsider sentence is respectfully denied. And is there another, one second, Randy. Anything else? Just a second. Is there going to be a notice of appeal filed?
Yes, Judge. We're filing a notice of appeal going to be emailed into the court record, to the office.
You're doing it in stanter, and are you going to be handling the appeal?
Judge, as of now, yes.
Well, you have to commit to handling the appeal to the appellate court. Okay. All right. Notice of appeal may be filed. Charlotte, and now I need the prosecutors to work with Charlotte, the probation officer, to work out probation specifications with the conditions I just explained. 150 days in the county jail, the restitution, the fines. Oh, and also statutory DNA and costs are ordered as well. That's statutory. So you have to fill out the probation specifications, and I'm going to get somebody to help you do that. But we need to get that done in Stanter. Anything else today? Yes.
In light of the notice of appeal, we would ask that you suspend the jail sentence in light of the
Do what?
filing of the notice of appeal.
Did I do what?
Suspend the jail sentence in light of the notice of filing of appeal.
That will be respectfully denied. Yes, Mark. Mr. Lewis.
If it could be stayed in light of our notice.
No, I'm not saying, no. The wheels of justice turn slowly, and sometimes the hammer of justice has to fall, and it's falling right here, right now. I'm not saying this. This happens right here, right now. Okay. Charlotte?
I'm sorry, Judge, I know you said this
Yeah, I'll talk to you about it. I'll give you those details.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Any other matters to come before the court today? All right. Defendants remanded to the custody of sheriff. Court is adjourned.
Woo!
Whoa.
Oh, Jussie.
I'm gonna use how much? How much? 150 days? Is that 4 or 5 months?
5 months. 5 months.
5 months.
Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible. Oh. Start taking.
I have to take all that in.
Let me break it down. He's 30, has 30 months on probation. How long is that, Perry?
No,
30 months.
5 months.
No,
not 30 months.
Outside.
Oh, 30 months?
Yeah,
Almost 3 years. It's like 2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years for probation, 120,000 of restitution, a $25,000 fine, 150 days in jail, which is 5 months. But to me,
that's too much.
Jussie standing up at the end, that's not my personality. Let's take calls. Let's see what people have to say. Ooh,
Hey, Sharrell, go ahead and kill that
That's
second
too
mic.
much. Sorry.
And then
that's too much. It should be
then
one or
turn
the
yours
other.
up. No, you're wrong one.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, is that my mic? Can you hear me?
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
good.
You're good now.
This was take
Too
a
much.
couple calls because
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll be right back.
yeah, go ahead, Perry.
Too
Oh
much.
my
Too
God.
much. One or
Let's
the
start
other.
taking calls. Hi, William. Okay, he faded out. Let me see.
There you go.
Hi, Supreme.
Hey, how y'all doing?
You have an echo. Can you turn close out of your tabs?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Woo! Diva, start talking while she closes out. What?
Oh my God. I'm gonna be honest with you, Sharrell. My heart is broken.
We got an echo going on. Hold on. Let me
Is it better,
close.
ma'am?
Yeah.
It's still
No,
there.
it's an echo. Hold on. Let me see something. Give me a minute. Can you guys hear me? It's Supreme. Supreme, you have an echo. Okay, and now, can you unmute your mic? Okay, Supreme, can you hear me? All right, let me start taking more calls. Supreme, I will drop you and give you a chance to fix your mic. Hi, Nina. Oof.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you now, girl.
Oh my God.
Oh
Listen,
my
this
God.
is what I want to say. He ought to be grateful. The money was a lot, but he got it. 5 months as opposed to 3 years. And then the judge was even saying it could be with the state of Illinois, 15 years or more. He got off. Yeah.
Well, why the arrogance at the end, Nina?
Because that's just who Jussie is. He gonna play that lie out all the way to the jail cell. Okay? He know he was wrong and everything. That judge he went through that whole trial.
Oh my!
He pinpointed a whole
40
lot of
minutes.
stuff.
40 minutes.
I was getting ready to say almost an hour, right? And I was
40 minutes. It took him to read his statement.
Well,
40
he did.
minutes.
He did. The judge. I thought he was going a little bit to the left and reaching, but then as he kept going, I was like, okay, I see what you're saying now because of who the person Jussie is or was or whatever he was saying. Because all these hate crimes, like you should know better. He putting him up on the in that jail cell to show other people that has been brought up like Jussie with a black mama, a white Jewish daddy, mixed races, that you ain't gonna get ready to do this. You know, he went all the way to the Congress and said they was getting ready to make bills about this and think. Yeah, Jussie got off 5 months. Now listen, 5 months, his ass can do it. He can do it.
He could do it.
He can do it.
Nina, I'm trying to take a lot of calls today.
Okay, y'all.
So thank you
Okay.
so much
Thank
for calling.
y'all.
I appreciate
Bye,
it.
Nina.
Take care. Oh my God, that was insane. Hey, Sin, can you sound off really quickly?
Yes, I can. Jussie is very arrogant. Very arrogant. He was
Arrogant or stupid?
both. He was trying to say if something happens to him in jail, he did not commit suicide. So that's what he was doing at the end.
Oh,
Yeah, because he was trying to say, I'm not suicidal. I'm not suicidal. That was letting them know. But what's gonna happen is he's gonna be out of there before 5 months because Chicago's prisons or jails, the city jail is overcrowded.
Hold on. I just enabled slow mode, guys. Why would he have to think something's gonna happen to him in jail?
Because he's a black gay man.
And plus, right, he's black and gay, and plus he's got money, and
Exactly.
he was some kind of
Celebrity.
star, a celebrity. So
Because R. Kelly got beat up in jail too because of that.
Yeah, he's in a lot of danger if they put him in the county jail.
Yep. So they're gonna probably put him in confinement. I mean, solitary confinement like they did on
this raising the Black Power sign.
Now that was uncalled for because your black ass wasn't thinking about that when you was trying to do that hoax,
See, I felt like he a little mental. Something more is going on. I do follow you, saying I think he was saying that too, because the way he said it like 5 times, but he's arrogant and he's pissed, right? Because it's almost like, how dare y'all, you actually gonna lock me up, right?
Exactly.
So, but I do believe, yes, he was saying that because just in case something happened to him in jail and they want to say later that it was suicide,
Right.
he's like, I'm not.
Right.
But the this at the end. Yo,
that was uncalled for.
Yeah.
And that judge was saying to himself, that's why I locked your black ass up in the first place.
Let me take some more calls. Thank you, Sin, for calling.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Because we've been on here a long time. Todd, you are shaking your head.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, my head has been bobbing all over. Probably.
Thoughts, please. Your thoughts.
Wow. Well, I love what the judge had to say in terms of giving Judge Judy a run for her money today. We live in such tricky, tender times. We live in a country with a 400-year history of very tender racial conflict. And that racial conflict has impacted housing and employment and transportation and generational wealth and education and opportunity. And Jussie Smollett, who is given every opportunity that this country has, above and beyond people with the same skin color he has, took that and flushed it down the toilet in a premeditated way that tore the scab off this country. And as a mixed racial gay man, I am beyond offended that somebody thought they were going to be the next Reverend Al Sharpton and get over on America like that.
Yeah.
And invoke that kind of empathy and sympathy. Today, justice was served.
Diva, you disagree?
I do. Listen, I think that Jussie Smollett, there's something more going on, right? I think he's not well. And then the unfortunate part with jails is there's no rehabilitating, there's no counseling. So you put in this man that's not well, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some type of punishment for what he did, but you're putting this man that's not well in jail for 150 days, and then he's on probation for 30 months. So how are we going to rehab this man, right? So my thing is too, the judge spoke, but I think the judge went a little bit too far too. Pretty much telling him, no, he said, you're a disgrace. Everybody's making fun of you. I don't think that part was necessary. You got a sentence to say now, but you're making it worse for this man. You're telling him he's a disgrace. You're the butt of every joke. Every time they pull up the word lie, it's going to be on your back. I mean, come on. There's people that's out there that's murdered people, that's done worse. And now you're trying to sit there and you're telling this man that he's lower than dirt. So, I mean, I get it. You had to make your point, but I think he took it way to the left and way too far. All he had to say is, look, you pulled the scab off this country. You did an injustice. You of all people should have known that you shouldn't do this, especially if you coming in my court talking about somebody shouldn't say the N-word. But to tell me that I'm lower than dirt, I'm garbage, I'm never going to recover. I mean, come on, he told a lie. So you tell people that are kill people, that are on drugs, that they could get another chance in life. This man told a lie, and you telling him he's worse than dirt, and he's never going to recover. I think the judge went too far. That's my opinion. So, and then this sentence, I think this sentence about a city being bruised and their feelings being hurt and them being embarrassed. You talking 30 months probation, 120,000, then the 25,000, and then 150 days in jail. I think it was overkill, but that's my opinion.
Overkill.
What about what Bonji's saying? I mean, what about what Diva's saying, Todd?
Let me tell you, Jussie had an opportunity to prove Diva right. Jussie had an opportunity to prove the judge wrong, to show that the judge went way too far, to show that the judge talked about the years that Jussie talked about. When we talk about what are we going to do with Jussie had an opportunity. And what did he do with that opportunity? He put his middle finger up, his fist up at the end. He showed no contrition. He obviously has seriously, deeply untreated mental health issues, which I think really was.
Why does he have to have mental health issues, Todd? Why can't he just be arrogant?
I think narcissism is a form of untreated mental health that the judge talked about. The judge told us what the mental health issue was based on his assessment of court records and watching him in real time, and particularly on the witness stand. You know, when a judge talks about perjury like that, and mind you, Jussie did not get sentenced today or even additional charges that the judge could have thrown on in those proceedings for obviously perjurious testimony. So he was let off in that as well, but there was just no sense of contrition along the way. Every step was a middle finger in the face of America, Black America, gay America, and every person who calls themselves a truth-loving, justice-loving American.
V, why was the judge doing the most? Was he that mad?
Yeah, he was that mad. A lot of that was because of his anger. But I just can't get past the overkill. I mean, I know that.
Well, you just said he was angry.
Yeah, he was angry, but he's a judge also.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Okay, so I can't get past the overkill. I mean, for that type of fine, for the many months on probation, and for that much time in the county jail for lying, and when you got people out here, policemen murdering people in the street.
But V, what about, you can't overlook the fact that he never showed any remorse. What about that?
How many people went through his courtroom that never showed remorse?
Come on now, let's preach about it.
Don't play with me, because for that, I mean, you have those policemen shooting people down in the street and get no time for it, not even probation. You know, you fired from your job. This man lost his career. He did everything. They did like.
But he also had everybody on a wild goose chase.
So he did, Sharrell, and you know what? I acknowledge that. But the browbeating from a professional judge, and yet, because he believes he's innocent in his head, that's why he's not apologizing. I'm not saying that it's not right, because all the evidence clearly points to that this man was not telling the truth and that he did this.
Right.
And yes, it was premeditated. And yes, he rode around. But you think about it, the judge said it himself. Think about the underlying mess that's going on in your head that you would do this, and the universe delayed your plane and you still did it. Yes.
That's why people go to prison, because you have done something wrong and you need to think about what you did and you need to change.
Right. If I murdered somebody, if I stole something, if I robbed
If
somebody,
you lie,
if I harmed somebody,
if you fake a hate crime,
he did this to himself. Nobody got killed, murdered, harmed. Nothing.
This was far from a victimless crime. There was victims all over the place. There was victims in reputations. There was victims in lies. When you look at people like Don Lemon, when you look at people like public servants that put their reputations on the line for this person, again, no contrition. This wasn't victimless. There were countless, hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of the city of Chicago, who's already hurting with limited resources. His family is victims of this, because now his family, who's had a lifetime of civil rights that the judge so aptly articulated, that's damaged now. The line of victims goes on, and let's not forget about those thousands of children that looked up to Jussie before, that was described, that started crying when he walked in the room before, were so excited to see him, all the hearts that were broken, not just adults, but children as well.
That's why I'm not saying what he did was not wrong and it didn't affect other people. I'm saying that there are greater crimes out there that has been committed that we sat back as citizens and watched, and nothing was done to it. That's what I'm saying.
And I will not get over this judge browbeating of him. Regardless of what you think of him, you're a professional, and you literally let that man, told that man he's dirt.
Right.
He's trash. He's never going to recover from a lie. Like, I mean, so none of us get forgiveness, no grace, no nothing. You told this man he's never going to recover from a lie. Okay, every time we look up the word lie, you're going to see Jussie Smollett. And we got to calm down on that. He got to calm down. That judge should have did better with that.
I mean, it's just a lot. Listen, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Todd, you're my sponsor. What do you got going on your channel?
We are so excited. You know, our season 2, episode 1 is coming up. So that will be out on Monday. So we're so excited. And we're talking about the issue of fear. And so this topic just goes right into what we're calling the United State of Fear, and what we can do to get around that, or look at that issue at least. And so we'll start a series on that. And then as well, our new book comes out on the 24th of March. And so it's all here. It's perfect. It's ready to go now. And I'm so excited. And
what's the name of it?
It's called Deconstruction Zone. Losing Your Psychic Pounds, Rebooting Who You Are. And then it's from trauma to triumph.
Oh, that's why we love working with you, Todd.
Yeah,
you talk about the real issues on your channel.
Thank you, and Perry, for everything. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. This was intense. I've been on here almost 2 hours. You guys know how I am. I cannot keep going too long. So I've got to end it here. This is a doozy. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your call backstage. Please leave your comments in the comment section. Oh, that's Perry. I wanted to thank everyone for your super chats. Jussie, you got a lot to do, a lot to overcome. I think your career is done, but never say never. Maybe
never say never.
But he needs some. I don't know. It sounds like he comes from a good family. I don't know.
He could be all right. Do you remember? I want to say the actor name was Charles Dutton. He was in jail. He murdered somebody. He came back out of jail and he had a good career. And that's what's pissing me off about this judge. You acting like this man is never going to recover. Shame on you, Judge.
The judge did the most, but he was upset. And you're allowed to do that if you're a judge. All right, you guys, I wanted to remind everybody, please don't forget to hit those thumbs up button on your way out. Any last words, guys?
Thank you.
He was like, no, I'm not saying nothing. It was crazy. All right, on 3, let's say bye. 1, 2, 3. Bye, guys. Bye.